Hello, welcome to Music and Stuff. I'm Rob Lewis. It's Quantum Wednesday, and that means I'm reviewing an episode of Quantum Leap. This week it is the Season 2 episode, Jimmy. Yes, so I'm going to do a little disclaimer here, a trigger warning if you like. I may occasionally use the R word. It will not be used as a slur. It will be used in the context of the episode in which I'm talking about. So the episode was broadcast on November 22nd, 1989. Wasn't that when the last episode of Doctor Who went out? Something, or it was recorded or something like that. There's some significance. I know it's not the 23rd and the anniversary. It's also the anniversary of JFK assassination. I'm getting way off here. So it was written by Paul M. Bellew and Robert Walterstorff. I think I got those right. And directed by James Whitmore Jr. So this is a particular favourite episode, not just of mine, but of the Quantum Leap fandom in general. It's a very, very well made episode. It's another tearjerker, just like the one before it, Thou Shalt Not, but in a different way. It stars, as always, Scott Bakula as Sam Beckett and Dean Stockwell as Al. Also starring John DeQuino, I think that's how you pronounce it, as Frank LaMotta, Laura Harrington as Connie LaMotta, Michael Madsen as Blue, and Brad Silverman as the reflection Jimmy LaMotta. So, you may notice also I'm wearing my Bullwinkle shirt, which I bought specially to make this episode. Real fans will recognise it. And the episode was set on October 14th, 1964. So Sam leaps in, he's upside down against the bunk bed, and a young lad called Corey comes in and pretends to shoot him with a laser gun. Sam sort of pretends to die, and then an older man comes in. Sam thinks, looking around the room, he's a child. But the man comes in and says he's got to get ready for his job interview, which is a bit confusing. And the man Sam assumes it's his father. The man opens the wardrobe door, the closet door if you like, and there's a mirror on the inside. And Sam sees his reflection and can clearly see the man whose life he's leaped into is a person with Down syndrome. So the premise is he's leaped into the life of Jimmy LaMotta, and this is his brother Frank LaMotta, who has taken him out of the institution where he'd been living to try and integrate with the outside world. And Frank has got him a job interview lined up at the docks where he works. Al arrives and says basically he's here to get Jimmy the job. And so Sam succeeds. He gets Jimmy the job. He aces the interview and gets Jimmy the job. Hang on, someone wants a quick word. Bonjour, Holiday Rob here. As you can see from Paris in France. See the wonderful Eiffel Tower behind me. If you're enjoying this video, thank you very much for watching. If you are enjoying it, please like it. You can subscribe to my channel if you like, and hit the notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the stuff I'm putting out. You can find me on the socials. Links are in the description. But I better not keep you too long because Studio Rob will probably moan and say that I'm rude or something like that. Yes, so Jimmy has now got the job on the docks, unloading lorries, loading pallets, that kind of thing, manual labour. There's a guy there, we have an aeroplane going over. There's a guy there called Blue, played by the late great Michael Madsen. This was before Reservoir Dogs fame. He's clearly good at playing the bad guy. this plane's really annoying, but I'm not going to criticise too much because only a couple of years ago I was in one of those and I did a Quantum Leap themed video. Random thing to bring up, but it's the plane that triggered the memory. So Michael Madsen, he's good at playing a bad guy, and he plays it well in this. He's basically a bully, and is kind of goading the other workers there to kind of pick on Sam, Jimmy. But Sam's tolerant, you know, he sticks it out, and they get home and celebrate that he got the job. Sam goes out to play football with his nephew Corey, but a fight ensues due to a big misunderstanding. A fight ensues between Corey and another kid up the street. Sam goes to intervene, and then it looks as though Sam is the one attacking the kids, which causes a big row, you know. Sam is struggling. For some reason, he's so anxious and nervous in his sleep, he kind of becomes a bit clumsy, which looks bad on the person on his leap. There's a lot of noises out there on his leapy. And he says he doesn't think he can do this. And this is when we get some lore, because Al talks to him and tells him about Trudy. We don't know who Trudy is at this point. And Sam thinks it's going to be another one of Al's sex stories. But Al talks about Trudy, who he grew up with, and she also had Down syndrome, and the other kids on the in the neighbourhood would call her names, and he hated it because she was his younger sister. We didn't know this about Al. We often find things out about Al that we didn't know before, and this is quite eye-opening because he takes this leap personally. He explains how, due to different circumstances with his parents, he ended up in an orphanage, and Trudy ended up in an institution, and when he was old enough to go and get her, she was dead. And he's very, very angry about that. I wonder if there could have been something in this series where Sam was able to fix something like that. But then that's a whole different conversation. So Sam is now more determined to make this work, because it's clear now that getting the job wasn't the only mission. He has to make sure that Jimmy is accepted, which is a little bit awkward because it's not Jimmy that's going to be accepted, it's Sam. So Jimmy's still got to do the work when he gets back, I guess, but I think once you've got people on your side, it's easy to keep them on your side. So, where was I? I go back to work the next day, and there's an incident. So this Blue is told to get a certain pallet on the forklift, and gets the numbers wrong. The boss witnesses. Sam tries to help him, but he's not having any of it. The boss notices that it's the wrong number. He reprimands Blue for getting it wrong, and we seemingly move on, but then cuts later on to Sam mopping the floor, and Blue's driving a forklift quite fast, it would appear, and skids and has an accident. He's not hurt, nobody's hurt, but there's a lot of, chaos all of a sudden, and attention. And Blue blames Jimmy for leaving the tap on for the solvent for cleaning, which caused the skid. And Jimmy is sacked on the spot by the boss. Frank comes over and tries to help and says, if you're going to sack him, then I'm going to. So he quits. Sam denies not switching off the tap or the faucet, spigot, whatever you call it in America, but they go home, and Connie says to Frank that Jimmy has to go back to the institution, which breaks Frank's heart because he remembered how his dad felt about putting Jimmy in the institution originally. Sam grabs Frank's car keys and takes the truck to try and get his job back. And Corey follows on his bike because he wants to see what happens and to kind of get a good view. They get to the docks. Corey climbs up to the top of this stack of crates and is watching. And Sam's there talking to the boss, Mr. Samuels, about Blue. And turns out Blue is dyslexic. And Blue did turn on the tap to incriminate Jimmy. Mr. Samuels fires Blue on the spot and says to Sam that he and Frank are welcome to work there. Blue doesn't take too kindly to this, so he comes back on the forklift, tries to either scare or actually hurt Jimmy. He ducks out of the way. Blue crashes into the stack of crates. Weirdly, we don't see any more of Blue after this point. But yeah, he crashes into the stack of crates that Corey's on top of. And Corey falls in to the water. Just at the same time, Frank and Connie arrive to try and calm down what's going on. Frank dives straight into the water to rescue Corey. After a few seconds, he finally finds him after a lot of tension. He gets him out, they hoist him up and get him onto the dock, but he's not breathing. Connie's understandably panicking. It's 1964. CPR, I understand, wasn't a thing then. Sam, of course, is a doctor, but he can't tell people that, so he has to convince Frank to let him help, because he says they taught him at the institution what to do. He gives him CPR, mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, and saves Corey. Jimmy is then accepted not just by the dock workers, but also by Connie, who apologises, and it really chokes you up. It's a real tearjerker, that scene. Yeah, so it's one of my favourite episodes. It's one of the best episodes ever. It's definitely 10 out of 10. I like the Star Wars references. It's just, the cast is great. Of course, we do revisit the family in season 5, and Brad Silverman and John DeQuino do actually reappear a few more times in the series, and John DeQuino actually writes an episode later on. But for now, Sam's mission is complete. Now, this episode, as well as being a very emotional tearjerker, there's a couple of funny moments. I can kind of relate personally to this. For the last four, could even be 4 years today, I think. It's the 4th anniversary of me doing it. I've been attending weekly music sessions for a charity that I do some work for, called Leading Lives, and it's one big happy family there. Again, people with Down syndrome and other similar conditions and things, and they're just like us. They're just people. They just see things from a different point of view. And I think we made great leaps in the last few years with acceptance and things. Now it seems like we're going backwards again. which is really sad. Really, really sad. But yeah, Jimmy, absolutely fantastic episode. It's a fan favourite too. It's always highly regarded by the fandom as one of the great episodes. It's up there, you know, with MIA and The Leap Home. Absolutely superb. Everything about it. There's not a wrong move made in this episode. Then he leaps out, and he leaps into a courtroom, and that's next week's episode. So Help Me God, which I will talk about next week, hopefully. Yeah, let me know what you thought of Jimmy in the comments, and how the topic was handled. I got away without having to use the R word, which is great. It's used quite a few times in the episode, not always as a slur, but back then back in the 60s, it was actually the recognised term to use. And it became a slur because of that. That's how I understand it. It wasn't initially a slur, it was a genuine term that then became adopted as a slur, which is why we now no longer use it. Yeah, we can use it in other senses, for things that are fireproof and stuff like that, but language is a funny thing. I'm not going to get into language now. But yeah, I hope if you haven't watched it, I don't know how you got to this point of this video, because I've given spoilers, but it's such a good episode. Obviously, if you have seen it, go and watch it again. It'll choke you, always does me. But I'm going to leave it there. I think this is my longest Quantum Leap episode review that I've done so far. But I'm going to leave it at that point, and yeah, thanks very much for watching and supporting the channel. I'll see you in the next one, so help me God. Catch you later, Bill and Ted.